If you live in Tumwater, it's important to know what city services have been altered due to the pandemic. In this episode, we talk with Tumwater Mayor Pete Kmet about how they have adapted in these trying times. Well, thanks for joining us, Mayor Kmet. How has this pandemic affected you? What's different in your life? Maybe what's most frustrating?
Oh, hi, Rob. Well, thanks for taking the time to interview me. Let's just say it's been a very interesting time. Sometimes I feel like I'm a virtual mayor in a virtual community. Obviously, that's not the case. There are real people out there and being affected by this on an everyday basis. So it's had obviously, a lot of impacts on the city services. We've closed all of the city facilities, and our staff are divided up into groups and to avoid contact with each other. And we're trying to provide services as best we can under those circumstances.
Yeah, so are there any city services that have stopped right now?
Yeah, well, of course, the library is closed, which is a building that is owned by the city but managed by Timberland Library. City Hall is closed, although there are staff that are there to help people if they need to get in to be able to give them access. Our parks are closed, or at least gated off, although people can certainly walk through them and get their exercise, those sorts of things. So those are some of the obvious things that are closed for people.
Okay, well, what city services are still functioning and how are they functioning different with everything going on?
Yeah, so police department is out there doing their normal thing. They do go to some of the retail stores in the morning when they first open up just to make sure everything's calm and people are behaving appropriately. Calls are down a little bit, but they're out there patrolling, showing a presence. Of course, fire is out there doing their emergency response. For both police and fire, I think the calls are down a little bit because there's fewer vehicles, less accidents, less interaction between people. So that's a good thing. Public Works is of course keeping the water system running and making sure the sewage is flowing and the stormwater systems are operating, patching potholes and making sure the traffic signals are working, those sorts of things. I already mentioned parks. Our parks and facilities maintenance folks are focusing on maintenance right now because there are fewer people or buildings are closed. So they're still busy. But again, they've been broken up into work shifts to kind of keep them separate. And our development services, planning departments are still functioning. People are still submitting construction plans online and getting reviews online. They can request an in-person meeting if necessary. But for the most part, I think things are functioning. It's just a little awkward, as people try and adjust to figure out this new way of doing business.
And you have trash pickup, recycling pickup, that kind of thing still functioning?
Yeah. Yeah, so Tumwater doesn't provide that service. That's something that individuals do with Pacific Disposal on an individual contract basis. And
Right.
they are continuing to provide both recycling and trash pickup during the crisis.
Are there City of Tumwater like utilities? You'll have to forgive me. I live in Olympia, but and if so, are
We'll give you.
I was going to ask like about people's bills and if people are having trouble paying for any of their bills through the city, or is that
So
not?
yeah, so utilities, of course, we bill monthly for utilities. And the first cycle of billing came up this last week. For the most part, people paid their bills. I think we're fortunate. We're in a community where there are a lot of state government employees that still have an income and other businesses that are still operating. So for the most part, people have paid their bills. We've seen a few, uh, a little, somewhat of an increase in unpaid utility bills. If people are having trouble, we do have the ability to connect them to some financial assistance. And of course, we're not doing any utility shutoffs right now if someone can't pay their bill.
Okay. Well, how are city council meetings operating differently right now?
So we did our first city council meeting last night. It was a virtual meeting under the new, I should say, under the new restrictions. So it was a virtual meeting. We met under the Zoom app, and we did not do video. We just did an audio meeting at this for that first meeting. And of course, we'll continue that. We'll probably go to the full video meeting our next 2 weeks from now. In the meantime, all of the committee meetings, work sessions, things like that are canceled as we just focus on essential business to keep the city running.
Now, you already mentioned Public Works, but are there construction projects that may have been postponed due to this, or is everything still going?
So we have one major construction project that's underway. It's Custer Boulevard, which is the street that is between the two old brewery buildings. That's a utility project. We've long had a plan for replacing a water and storm line in that street, and that required tearing up essentially the whole street. Well, of course, we got partway through this project, had the street all torn up, and then the restrictions were put in place. But under the governor's restrictions, we concluded this was a project that needed to move forward. Obviously, people need water, and also it's a major transportation corridor for the city. So the contractor is continuing to work. Most of that work is at night, although they will be doing some things during the day there. And so far, it's going good. Of course, traffic is down.
Right.
Some of the businesses in that corridor are closed right now, so it's actually a little bit less impactful on people. So actually, from a construction point of view, it's actually worked out pretty well. Mm-hmm. But again, I think we're making sure the workers take precautions, and certainly our inspectors are as well, to try and stay as safe as they can during that construction.
Now, does Tumwater have some events that were scheduled, and have they been postponed or canceled? I know there was an Easter egg hunt, and I heard that that's going to be taking place virtually. Can you tell me more about that stuff?
Yeah, so our Easter egg hunt has been the live hunt where we have really thousands of kids and families come together at Tumwater High School. That's all been canceled, and instead we're doing an online virtual Easter egg hunt. And I encourage people to go to our website, to our Parks and Rec program, and participate in that, where they take pictures of where eggs are in different parts of the community, and people have to guess where that is. So
that sounds neat.
Kind of cool.
How about other events? Anything else you can think of that was canceled, postponed?
Certainly our Tumwater youth programs, which were Friday evening programs at schools, are all canceled. Summer baseball, the little baseball that we typically run, has been canceled. Of course, the parks are closed, so soccer games are not running. So quite a bit of the sports-related activities are not happening, unfortunately, right now. We're still holding off on the 4th of July. We haven't made a decision yet whether we'll cancel the 4th of July, although I have to say it's looking more and more likely that we will.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess people can find out about that on your website, right? Events.
Yeah. So we'll probably make a decision in the next couple of weeks here, as we get a little deeper into May, and then we'll announce that for sure, and of course post that notice on our website. Okay.
Well, we'll let you go, but are there any final thoughts, words of encouragement for your residents?
What an interesting time. Like I said, I feel like I'm in a virtual city sometimes. I know this is having real impact on people. I was talking to one of our neighbors. They have seniors in high school. They're not obviously going to school right now, it's kind of ruined their senior year. I know folks out there that have either had a friend or someone in their family contract the virus, and it's been really traumatic. Fortunately, I'm not aware of anybody that's ended up passing away as a result of it, but certainly that has happened throughout the state. So it's a frightening time for some folks here. I think the thing I would say is I know Tumwater is a resilient community. We've weathered some pretty significant events in the past. If you look back historically, and I have looked at what happened during the Great Depression, for example, and how traumatic an event that was for the city, and of course World War II and those sorts of things. So Tumwater will come back from this. I know we will. I think we'll all appreciate each other and the community a lot more in the end when this is all over. So I just encourage people to continue to stay home, try and be as safe as they can that way, and help eliminate the spread of this really, really highly contagious and deadly virus, and get us through this as quickly as possible so we can return to normal. And just thanks everyone for listening in, and stay safe.
All right, well, thank you for your time. For more information about event cancellations and the adaptation of city services, go to the City of Tumwater's website at ci.tumwater.wa.us. That's all we have for you today. Tune in next time for more updates. Again, if you have any questions or suggestions for something we should cover, send an email to rkam@tcmedia.org. Stay home, stay updated with Thurston Community Media, and stay safe, Thurston County.